Me. Yeah. Getting our jam on to that severe stabbing
Oh
situation.
yeah.
Hey, everybody. I'm Elana Elise, ensemble member and artistic director of Interrobang Theater Project, and the director of Here Lies Henry, which is what we're here to talk about. And with me is.
I'm Scott Sava. I played Henry in the very same play, Here Lies Henry. Welcome to me. And I loved working on it, and I'm really happy that it's streaming now on
Me
Broadway
too.
World.
Yes. And so that's really what, we're going to chat a little bit about our process and working with each other and some things that led to. But we really want you to know that you got 5 days left to get a ticket to check it out. So we'll be, ticket sales end on the 25th. But if you get your ticket by then, you'll still be able to watch it through March 4th. So we really don't want you to miss it, because it's a real good show.
Yeah, yeah. And we filmed it with two cameras. There's a full audience, and it just really makes you feel like you're back in the theater. And what more could
Yeah.
you want?
It's nice. Trust us, we were all nervous about it. It's archival, it was recorded just for our records. And so, it took some time, but we watched it a few times and thought an audience can get behind this. So don't be nervous. Like, just to watch it on the screen, it's
Yeah.
as effective. Okay. It's close to being in the theater.
I mean, I'll say try to make your surroundings as theater-like as possible. Like turn off all the lights, just turn off your phones, like focus on it and just let it take you where it goes.
Yes, and it helps that it's a one man show, right? So like, everybody's eyes are right on Scott. Scott, how had you done a one man show before?
Um yes, I did a children's show. It was a one-man play of Abraham Lincoln.
Lincoln, right.
Yeah, yeah, and I did that for like 3 school years. So, school audiences can be pretty unforgiving sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but still, I had like it was just an awesome time, and I learned a lot about like just the work of putting on a show, and like I mean, I had all of the costumes, the audio equipment, the projector. All of that was in my trunk. I had to take that to every school,
Oh
set
wow.
it all up, take it all down. So there was a lot of other stuff going on with that show in particular. So that I was very glad not to do on this one.
I bet. And so then what kind of felt like, so okay, so I will say, as most people know, Here Lies Henry was Interrobang's very first, are we watching the trailer again? Our very first production by Interrobang Theater Project back in, say, like 2010 or something of the sort. And then it was just kind of a freestanding project. And then to kind of kick off like a real season, we did it again. And I was involved by that point and produced it. And I also did the laundry and iron the shirts and clean this. Like, I was very involved with it, and it was well performed. But there were themes from it that really resonated with me, like in a way that over years I would just occasionally think about something I had heard from the show.
uh,
And though I never imagined being able to get my hands on it, in a way, like I don't always, it's rare that I think of something as something I want to direct,
Mm.
right? Like that's rare for me. So it just kind of stayed with me. And then, we hit our 10-year anniversary and we're trying to figure out ways to celebrate. And what did that look like? How could we do it? And we had like the options that were on the table for the season were pieces that we love that didn't really come together thematically in the way that we would normally build our seasons, but we still wanted to do them. And so initially we chose Scene from Henry. From Here Lies Henry, just to be part of our fundraiser as the 10 years celebration. Like, here's something we did in the very beginning, and then and I worked with the actor who was an ensemble member at the time, and it was just it ended up feeling so good to revisit it, right? And all these themes that had stayed with me for 10 years, and to see them, it just kind of reignited something in me. And because we hadn't yet settled on our season, I was like, but what if, and we had some discussions about it and whatnot. And so then it became this like really kind of thrilling experience of being able to just retell the story, and with it having to do with truth and lies and honesty and stuff in the climate that we're in. It felt like really, really appropriate and and timely, if you will.
Yeah.
Relevant, like Interrobang likes to say.
What, real, relevant, and raw?
Yeah, no, wait, rare, relevant and raw. And so and it is rare, and it's
real too.
Raw. It's totally real. You know what, we're going to talk about adding that fourth R. So I say all of that to just kind of ask you, because it's a pretty quirky piece, right? And so like, what kind of things, ideas, themes, or whatever did you connect to when you read it for the first time? What made you want to audition for it? What made you want to live in Henry's skin for a minute?
Yeah, it was crazy. I had I was doing cabaret at the time, production of cabaret at Chief O'Neill's with Cowardly Scarecrow, and I was playing Cliff Bradshaw, which is a dream role, and I got the audition notice. Well, actually, I missed the audition notice totally, but then Sarah Geis, who's the casting director for the show and an ensemble member in Terabang, she saw Cabaret and was like, "Who's this Scott guy?" And like everybody was like, "Hey, you got to talk to Scott about this show because he'd probably be good for it." And so anyway, they did, and I started reading it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this show is perfect for me." Like, I and I think it's funny because Caitlin Jackson was in Cabaret, and she's probably the one that was the birdie talking to Sarah about me. But in Poseidon, I made horrible jokes. Like, I would ad-lib jokes that were like almost purposely not funny. Mm-hmm. It worked for the character.
I hope so.
I mean, sometimes, you gotta just let it go. But so even that first page of the script where it's just like, it's like Henry walks out, he's humming a song, he's looking at the audience, he reacts, and then he says hi or he coughs. That's what it was. He coughs. It's been a year. Okay. But like and then he takes in the audience, like it's literally written there. And I just loved that it was like right there in those first few moments of like, is this a bit? Is this real? What is this guy about? And I enjoy living in that space, especially when doing comedic material. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's good. You live in it very well. One one of, I don't know if I'm really going to only talk about one of, but in working with you to build this piece, um, there is this like pure vulnerability and kind of a shame, which is weird to say, but that you convey, whether or not it's like a shame that you feel for real, like it's a vulnerability wrapped in shame that you were able to convey, that allowed me to see like the nuance I feel is necessary,
Mm.
and in telling Henry's particular story, because he's operating under such a facade. What's important is that while you want the doubt about the facade, you need something that rings true, that makes you pay attention.
Hmm.
Right? Like, cause like nobody really wants to pay attention to somebody who's clearly 100% full of shit, and you can see it so clearly, you know.
I mean,
But not
except for
when
in the real world.
well, that's why we're in theater.
Yes.
So we can do it in
Yeah.
theater. In theater, nobody wants to see that. But I thought it was important to have peekaboos, and I think I've already said it that way. Peekaboos of his truth, right? Like just like peeking out and wanting to like wrap a finger around the truth and just pull it
Mm.
until the facade had just fallen off, right?
Yeah.
And so what was something that was really beautiful about you for me was what happened when the facade was gone. And as is written and as we structured it and as you lived it, right? Like there are all of these things that kind of came together that brought us to this purity, this genuineness that's just, that I feel like only Scott Sava could really embody, right? Like, I mean, because like people can tell the stories,
Right.
people can do it, and they all bring what they bring, but that's something I felt like I needed from within my vision, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm super open to, like, I wasn't like, this is what we need to do, da 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 da, but I did have an idea of how I wanted to feel about Henry,
Hmm.
and you gave me that,
Mm.
because it's easy to dislike him,
Oh yeah.
as is on the page,
Yeah.
but like I don't want to put up a story that presents a person that I'm aiming for people to dislike,
Yeah.
right? Like that's still like with
Why are you
the
doing that? Yeah.
right, and so it was just really lovely to see you grow to that point, and you, I have to say, like, as an artist, there was some resistance to it for you, and whether or not that was like, look, I don't want my vulnerability on display like that, or I don't think that's what he would do. I don't know where it was coming from, but it was like we had to really shape it and really hone
Oh
it.
yeah.
And but the thing was, like, I wasn't gonna let go, because when you got there, it was so beautiful and it was what was needed. And so, if I had to subtly fight you to get it, it was on, like, that's what we was gonna do.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the crazy thing about that script is it's still a mystery to me. Like it it's still I don't particularly have any like hard like conclusions about what the story is about, where he's coming from. I mean, like, you know, it's all just kind of this like nebulous uh world of like layers and layers and layers and layers of like lies and uh facade, um and and then getting to that last moment. I mean, there's nothing to spoil, but like you get to a point where maybe Henry's being a little bit truthful, you know. And so there was such payoff in the way that we built that facade and kind of systematically took it down. And again, so much of it is in the script. With because every time Henry mentions his father, he coughs. Every time he mentions his mother, he laughs. You don't like people telling that. Okay, never mind.
It's been out there in every review.
It has, yeah.
So what? I can't control it.
So, but the psychology of this character was already so deep, and I don't know if I just feel this way because I'm playing the character, that there's like a meta level to it. I mean, for me, there must be, right?
Yeah.
And anybody who knows me, who sees the show too, because I had to tap into that vulnerability, and that same vulnerability of an actor taking on a one-man show is similar to that vulnerability that Henry has in that situation. So yeah, it was really vulnerable, and it was there were days when it was a little hard to shake. Either in rehearsal or getting out of rehearsal. We had our understudy Josh Kemper there for most of the rehearsals, and sometimes on our walks to the train, we would both just be like, or I would just be like, hey, I need to just like put on headphones and walk. And like, he'd be like, totally cool. And like, he understood. Because there was just a lot to think about, and what was Henry's and what was Scott's, and to make that delineation just for my sanity.
Yeah.
Because Henry is such a, like, he's such an everyman in a lot of ways, that or at least he portrays himself that way, at least. And yeah, so there was so much to tap into with this character.
Okay. Remember when I was trying to like talk about the duality of the existence of the character and you guys separately, and I got like so I don't even know what to call it. I feel like I was so spacey and like talking like in this surreal way, trying to explain. And then like that was like the last rehearsal for a few days. It's like the next few days, I'm like, my actors think I'm a lunatic. Like, they're gonna expect me to be burning sage when they come back. Like, because it was just, what I was trying. And then, like, after also giving it thought, like, I was able to simplify what I was trying to say. But I remember being so embarrassed. I remember feeling like you both were looking at me like, yeah, okay, like it was just. I mean, and you were both very kind and very much like, no, we get it or whatever. I don't know. I know you made an effort to make me stop feeling like such a lunatic, but I was like, what are the words coming out of and I couldn't stop either because I was really trying to get to my point somewhere in there. But I spent like 2 or 3 days just being like, I don't even understand what happened there. I'm so freaked out by what was coming out of my mouth. And then here's a way I can say it that makes sense. And so we got there. But so you were both very forgiving. And I don't know if you were just trying to make me not feel crazy or if you really had understood what I was saying. But it was Henry did it to. I feel like Henry did that to me.
Yeah.
Because he had to.
Well, the show makes you think very deep about, self and lots of. It's a very, very deep show. So like, it's going to create conversations where you're like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but the whole of what you're saying still makes sense.
Thankfully.
Hopefully what I just said makes sense, huh?
I think it did. What? Without additional spoilers, if we can help it, what do you think, what's something from Henry's life that actually resonated with you? Like one of the specific moments that is shared during the show that kind of resonates with you? I mean, it's okay if it's nothing.
No. I have an idea, but I'm trying to figure out how to put it without hurting anybody. Okay. So, as we kind of mentioned, Henry has a no. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna retract that question. And I'm gonna let you settle. I'm gonna say shouts out to Angela Michelle who's watching, and Michelle Benda, who's the most amazing lighting designer, who's probably in a tizzy about my current lighting and probably loves yours. That's okay, Michelle. You don't control this today, okay?
This is all natural. This is all natural from my window.
See, and if I open my blinds, then it's gonna do the wrong thing, and then I'll still be in trouble with Michelle. But in addition to her, Lavisa Williams did your wonderful costumes, had you looking better than Henry should have ever been looking. It was hot, and Timothy. Sean, what's Timothy's last name?
McNulty.
Oh, you know what? That's what was in my head, but then it felt wrong on my tongue. And I was like, I'm going to say the wrong name. Timothy McNulty did our sound. And that was fun building that stuff with him.
Yeah.
And for our streaming version, our ensemble member, Chris Narr, really like stepped up to help us out with some of the music things that we needed to tend to. And you know, Richie Vavrina is our production manager, and behind their screen right now is Sean Galligan, ensemble member and stage manager extraordinaire, who without we would be nothing. It's so great. Michelle, you're the wonderful one. Thank you, my dear. Lord.
Also, I gotta say the lighting looked great in the theater, but it also looks great on the film. Like it just translated so well.
It really does. It really does. And I just got goosebumps thinking about the whole thing, because it was really exciting to like have no set, which is a thing I'm drawn to in general, whether or not that's what the script calls for. I really enjoy just raw forms of storytelling. Give me like them black boxes that we use in theater, and like let's go, you know. And so being able to do that, but also having the resources to have sound and lighting actually contribute to the storytelling and costuming, and to work with designers who, whatever their field, are interested in actually storytelling, you know, like what, like, so Lavisa's concept of that, like, was all wrapped up really not only in who Henry was, who he appeared to be on the page, but who you understood Henry to be, you know. And she built these elements and using the psychology of color, you know, like that. Goosebumps, like that kind of interest and creativity and ultimate collaboration, because they all three, they worked together to build Henry's world in ways that like I dreamed of just a tad. They went they went way, you know, because I'm like, oh, that'll be great. You know, lighting's gotta tell us who needs a set. You know, like I had that kind of energy, but like to see it in action, and it really be doing the thing. Now, and some of the things with lighting are in the script, but some of them are not, you know. And to have Michelle be on point, and Timothy, and Lavisa be in conversation about their design elements contributing to what we were all trying to do, I think that's phenomenal. And I think that is the crux of like storytelling in theater. Like, I don't care if your sync works. You know what I mean? Like, what are people talking to me about? And like, some things are very cool to see. Of course, I've seen some amazing things set construction wise and storytelling. Yeah. But like, really, when it comes down to it, I want to see these people, and I want to hear the story that they're telling, and everything that contributes to that is it makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for how this turned out, you know?
Yeah. It was just such a tight crew. Like, I've never felt so part of like the upper level of a production. I mean, not that there's an upper or lower, but you know what I mean? Like the technical side, I felt like I was still involved, like, even though I wasn't like at the meetings and you know, but sometimes we were all getting notes together and we talk about things, and it just felt very collaborative. And as a first experience at Interrobang, wow, it was awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I mean, well, it really is crazy because I didn't know any of you going into that show except for Josh.
Right. That's so true.
So like it just was awesome. It was awesome.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy as an ensemble member and producer and a person who's really trying to make sure people are enjoying the process with us, you know?
Yeah.
That's really great. All right, we are almost at a half hour, but Scott and I, because we met and had such a good time on Here Lies Henry, we have grown our friendship. And I'm gonna let Scott talk about how we've done that.
We have a podcast. It's called You're On in Five, The Art of Understudying. And we interview actors, at this point, all Chicago actors. Maybe not, maybe not always, but for now. And about understudying and their experiences and what was awesome about it, what sucked about it. We get a lot into our own shortcomings and times when we weren't ready to go on. Well, that never happened to Elana, but
I mean,
for some of us,
hey.
but we have like some of the best actors in Chicago. It's crazy. We had Josh Kemper, who's our understudy for Here Lies Henry on our first episode. So that was totally where everything came from with this. So we had to have him first. Then we had Joy Gavino. We had, was next Nancy and Sarah?
Jolino.
Oh, Jolino, who's also an ensemble member in Terabang. And then Nancy Payne and Sarah Geis from Out of Love, and talking about their experiences as an understudy and an overstudy.
Oh, we're gonna coin it. He's coining the phrase overstudy. Y'all,
that
means principal. Go ahead.
I wish I actually came up with that word. I don't remember where I heard it first, but maybe somebody will tell me. But yeah, if you go to that website down there, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. You can just go to our podcast website and download it. You can like us on Facebook. Go to our Patreon. You can get early access to episodes on Patreon, as well as we will say your name and give you a shout out on an episode. And we're coming up with other great goodies for our Patreon subscribers in the future as well.
We sure are. And it's exciting. Y'all, I have to say, I just didn't know, in my bio for the show and in other places, I literally say that Scott flattered me into saying yes to this. And that's not a lie. And I'm able to say that because I already have gained so much appreciation for the idea, and the conversations we're having are so eye-opening. And even though, I've been in this field my lifetime, like since I was 7 years old, and I'm still like having revelations via these conversations and learning things. And as an administrator at a theater, recognizing things that we need to be tending to. And some of it we were, thanks to the Sarah and Nancy situation, which if you listen, you'll hear all about it. So we were already understanding that, like, the significance of this job, but it really has, it gets more and more exciting with every conversation we've had. And so, I'm all the way on board. I was like 92.7% on board. And now I'm like 100% like, yo, this is good stuff. And no doubt we'll be interviewing actors outside of Chicago with who have Chicago roots, and maybe not, because we've already been getting really great feedback about it. And so it just feels really good, and recognizing that people need for this to be heard, and this part of our industry to be changed. And however we can help that happen, we're gonna. So
yeah, and I hope it gives people that feeling of like being in a bar after the show and chatting with actors. If that's your thing. If that's not your thing, then
I mean, yeah, just tell some actors you know to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly. Or anybody who listens to like Inside the Actors Studio and loves to get those insights about that part of our industry. It's been really cool, and I'm very inspired by the responses that we've been getting.
Same.
People
Same.
like it.
They do. It's really great.
Yeah.
Well done, Scott. And so so that's gonna be going on like forever until something forces us to stop. What's not going on forever is Here Lies Henry.
Yes.
So you got to get in on that this week to be sure.
Can I mention that tickets are only $15, per household? Also, this is my little secret. If you go to the Patreon for Interrobang, you can, I think, what $10 a month get tickets to all their productions. So,
thank you, Scott.
There's that.
Are you trying to take my job? Because I did not even think to mention it. So yeah, what Scott said. Get in on it. You can subscribe to us at $5, $7, $10 level. $7 level gets you access to insider content. $10 level gets you insider content and tickets to all of our shows for this season. Wow, what a loser I am. So thanks for watching us today. We know we just kind of sprung this on you, so you're probably not watching live, but we appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us anyway.
Yeah.
And have a great week ahead. Watch the show, listen to the podcast, eat good food.
We love you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Oh, they're going to show the commercial again?
I guess so. Yay.
Ooh. They're showing us this time, though.
Yeah, we're going to act out to it. Oh, now we're gone.